Chris.
Heath.
Thank goodness it has a built-in fan in the dock because this episode is gonna be hot. Hot news, hot co-hosts. Oh no.
We need that enhanced cooling for this episode of Mobius Tubes.
Yeah.
Samantha's here.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back. We're recording episode 120. Kind of a milestone. And it's being recorded on April 5th, 2025. Glad all three of us could reconvene. How's everybody doing?
Meh.
Yeah. It's April, kind of a nothing month. Unless you care about video game news, in which case it's been popping off. But we're going to be covering all the Switch 2 nonsense in the later half of this episode. I wanted to start us off with a quick section called Chris Shoutouts. I have two things I cared to shout out. Thing number one, it's an upcoming game. This is kind of going to be like a Root Trees is Dead shout out, where I haven't played this game. I know it's going to be up our alley. But I've been tortured the past 3 weeks or so, where the video game podcasts I listen to, full of influencers who are in the know, getting like pre-release copies and stuff. They've all been hyping up this game coming out in 5 days on April 10th called Blueprints. And the name is kind of a play on words. It's not blueprints like the schematic you would use to build something.
Oh, it's like the royalty?
It's like the color blue and the title Prince. Coming to Steam, it's a mystery puzzle-solving game. And the way they're talking about it, you'd think it's the best thing since sliced bread. One of the podcasters literally said, don't sit down and start Blueprints until you're ready for your life to be changed. So
Is he in the pocket of the literal prince? Chris, it's giving off I Spy energy.
Oh, I like the art style.
Real hidden object, Agatha Christie.
Yeah, it has like an old school mystery vibe.
Okay.
But I do not have any insider information. This is me merely trying to ride the coattails of the influencers, trying to be like, yeah, I knew about Blueprints before it was cool.
I was there.
So keep our eyes peeled for that. It might be blowing up soon. I don't know. That was Chris shoutout number one. Chris shoutout number two is just a YouTube video. Heath and I have been on the record. We're big fans of George of Super Bunnyhop, who released a new video on YouTube for the first time in like 2 calendar years or something. But I watched it in its entirety. It was a lengthy, deep dive investigation into the history of strategy games. The name of the video is Kriegsspiel, How Napoleon Accidentally Invented Strategy Games. And it was really interesting. I was captivated for the whole runtime. It was truly incredible to find out how much of strategy game conventions can be attributed to one guy in the Prussian army, Reiswitz. His name should be like a co-designer on the name of so many games.
He invented hit points, blast damage, a lot of conventions. And I want to say, Chris, if I'm remembering the video correctly, he killed himself. And we were postulating that maybe he could see into the far future, see what the implications of his inventions had. And that's what led him to take his own life.
Yeah, he created so many gamers.
He created so many gamers.
But no, excellent video by George. Recommend it for sure. And that's the end of the Chris shoutout section. I hope you enjoyed. Something for everyone there. Mysteries and Napoleonic warfare.
Actually, Chris, I wonder which of those I'm going to touch first, the George video or Blueprints. Because as soon as you texted me that, I was like, I have to resist because of school reasons.
Okay.
So I physically boycotted the Super Bunnyhop video.
Yeah, I was a little insulted you didn't respond to my custom tailored meme I sent you. My original content.
You did not make that. Did you make that?
I did. I put in the legwork to use the template.
Oh my God. I thought that was just out in the wild. I thought if fans would, that would just be naturally made, but that's...
Yeah, it was naturally made by me, the fans.
Oh my God. Now I have to. All right, so I'm giving Blueprints blue balls until I watch that video.
All right. Heath, Samantha and I have been very eager to hear what you're playing. Do you want to go first or do you want to go last? Leave us in suspense.
I am dying to go first.
Yeah, let's do
Yay.
it. We don't know what you've been playing. It's a secret.
Awesome.
Try to piece together this Venn diagram. I've just finished Nier Automata. My bullet hell skills are the best they've ever been. And I shit all over Nier, so I wanted to pick a game that Chris was less attached to but could still contribute to the conversation. And The next entries in the franchise are dropping with the launch of the Switch 2.
Undertale.
Is correct.
Heath's been playing Undertale.
Chris, what month is it?
Right now, it's April.
Wrong. It is Untember. We're going to just dedicate the whole month to all 3 routes. And then, Samantha, what's next month?
Oh my God. It's Deltarune chapters 3 and 4.
It's Deltober. Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to do all of Deltarune. I've never played them.
Heath, you said you're going to do all 3 routes?
Yeah.
That's ambitious.
No.
One of them is notorious.
It's going to take you a while.
Oh, that spider fight from an hour ago took me longer than it needed to.
My first run through of playing that game, the spider fight definitely was the hardest fight for me. It's so stupid.
I was like, I cannot afford to pay this bitch because I need to send Temmie to college.
Yeah.
But then I'm shilling out 35 G's so that the pet doesn't swallow me whole. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Heath, what is Undertale?
Undertale is the best 2015
Game.
RPG in the same vein of Earthbound. You play as child who fell in a hole and is in the world of monsters and is trying to get out of the world of monsters. And the only way they can do that is by passing through the big force field that the humans created to keep the humans and the monsters separate. Samantha, how do you want to have this conversation? Undertale is more than just a great game. But all the while I'm playing it, I'm dissecting Undertale. Remy the Ratatouille tasting the meal and trying to differentiate the ingredients to see like, ooh, what flavors are that in this? Whether it's the score, the dialogue, the characters, the design, the gameplay itself. I'm trying to be impartial. I'm trying to imagine, would I love this dialogue if it were spoken by some totally wooden, in comparison, lifeless Yakuza NPCs?
You take those words back.
Here's where I'm going to give a little bit of the give and take. The Toriel-child relationship, so strong. Like Goat Mom. I'm talking about Goat Mom for the listener.
The first main character you meet, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, no spoilers.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that because independently, before we even knew you were playing Undertale, I was thinking about returning to Undertale in the near future.
Because, listener, Chris has never beat Undertale.
All right, it's recently come to my attention. I may not have finished Undertale when I thought I had.
If you're a player of Undertale, let's just say he got to a certain point in the game at the very end and was like, oh, I guess I lost, and logged off forever. So if you've never played, I don't think that really spoils it for you. And if you have, you know how silly Chris is.
I thought I had won.
I don't think anybody thinks they had won at that point.
If you play Undertale for any amount of time, you're basically a winner because it is such a meaningful game. Getting back to what I said about Toriel, I cared way more about Toriel's feelings than I ever did my own son back in Fallout 4. On the flip side of that, Dr. Alphys is getting annoying.
Yes.
Too many texts.
She's supposed to be annoying, I think.
And the reason why is because Undertale is basically an extension of its author, Toby Fox.
Yeah.
It includes his quirky mannerisms with the Papyrus Sands and his more touching, empathetic side with all the goats. And then his nerdy, really cringe. Oh, and a bunch of Japanese words that I don't know.
Weeaboo.
Yeah, he's a weeb. Oh, God. And it's deliberate. And I wish it weren't.
I guess as annoying as Alphys is, it's like she's deliberately annoying when she's texting you all the time. I think I do wind up just feeling bad for her because she's not being annoying on purpose. You know, she's not being deliberately rude. She's not trying to bother you. She's just kind of lonely and sad.
She says explicitly like she didn't like herself before meeting us.
Yes.
And that paints a clear picture. But I think it asks a lot of the player to accept her for what she is.
I think that maybe the second route provides you more context.
Okay, you say the second route. Chris, how far is Heath in Undertale?
Have you started listening to Core yet?
I am exactly listening to Core.
Excellent.
He just got all those texts from Alphys.
So which maybe that's coloring my impression. But oh, by the way, I'm in core right now, but I'm doing the pacifist run first.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because there's more game there.
Yeah. But then you must go straight into the third one? I guess you don't have to.
I'm going to load a save that allows me to just pivot into normal.
I see.
So I don't have to replay the entire thing.
That would be smart.
And then you know what happens next.
I feel like, so Chris, when you played the game, you were kind of frustrated because you weren't aware of all the information you needed to go to the pacifist route on the first try. And you were like, oh, I was so mad that kind of put me off the game. I think you're underestimating. You really should play the normal route first because it's a chance for you to reflect on what you've done and what you've witnessed. And the pacifist route is your chance to do better. And that's part of the message of the game.
Sure. I feel like, I messed up. I intended to play it the pacifist route. I messed it up in the classic way people are likely to do. But then I didn't make any mistakes for the rest of the game's duration. I felt like I unfortunately knew not enough to avoid the mistake, but I knew just enough to be very annoyed by it.
Well, I hope that you'll give it a second chance. You'll finish your normal route.
I'm going to give it a
playthrough.
second chance, especially now that it's now a relevant topic on this podcast.
I was talking about replaying Deltarune because of the new chapters coming out, which I am beyond excited for.
Trying to be a little bit more positive. Papyrus, you get a text on your phone and your main character is like, how did you get this number? And Papyrus goes, simply, I dialed every number sequentially until I got to you. So Toby put so much expression in this very simple art form.
He sure did.
They're just little sprites. They're 2D sprites. And I think that's why I like the characters of Undertale so much, and his sense of humor is so funny. All the creams and stuff that Papyrus dabs behind his ears. Undertale is a dramedy. It has as meaningful and heartfelt moments as any Mass Effect, but as high a joke ratio as Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
But Samantha, why don't we like Stanley Parable as much as Undertale?
I guess there's no characters in Stanley Parable. No one really grows or changes. It's like funny, but it's lacking that heart. And it does try to have heart with one of the endings.
There's no story in Stanley Parable.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Stanley Parable. I thought it was fine. I thought it was funny, but I was like, I guess, expecting more for how much people talked about it. I do want to say, in regards to making you attached to the Undertale characters, I remember specifically with Toriel in the beginning, there's one section where she holds your hand while you're walking through a part where maybe you'd be confronted by monsters or something. And I think that, like, it's just like a silly little sprite, you know? They're like pixel characters, essentially. But you see her take your hand and lead you through, and it's like not a super short section. I think that moment really does make you feel like she's taking care of you and she cares for you. And it's the little moments like that that, like, later on make you care for her so much more and make you not want to do anything to hurt her, because clearly everything she's doing is to take care of you and because she wants to love you. Versus Stanley Parable, you're not getting any of that. The narrator hates you for most of it. He's not holding
and we hate him back.
Yeah.
I was able to think from the point of view of somebody playing Undertale for the first time. And there was a non-0% of me that thought that maybe Toriel had bad intentions.
Oh.
Like she was going to cook you into a stew or something. And it was until the slice of butterscotch pie.
That's when you know this woman does not have an evil bone in her body.
She's just here to not really just care for me because I'm in a dangerous situation, but like she's planning like a homeschool curriculum of like, these are the type of plants you could find down here. Just precious.
She's like, oh, yeah, I want you not to just be a child I'm taking care of out of some sense of duty, but I want you to become my son or daughter. She's great.
She's great, and she's not alone. The longer you spend with any Undertale character, you could spin a Wheel of Fortune and pick a character, the more you like them.
Yes.
Mettaton.
I love him.
Did you ever notice Mettaton's dialogue, it's typed syllabically? Because it better pairs with his robot sound font.
That makes so much sense.
Every other character is typed out by the individual
letter
type characters.
Yeah.
And all the tables in Metaton's restaurant are shaped like him.
Yeah.
Heath, putting the comedic writing and the charming character interactions to the side for a second, how are you enjoying that capital C combat?
When you're fighting Undyne and you're doing essentially DDR with the arrows coming at you.
Yeah.
That was the greatest rush that I got as I was playing the bullet hell. Is that what you're getting at?
I was more digging for your thoughts on the combat systems itself, especially the way you're playing. The game's combat is pretty unconventional.
You click the act button and then you do one of three things.
Well, I mean, you're going with the pacifist route. You're intentionally trying to avoid killing anything, which turns this turn-based JRPG combat into more of a puzzle game as you try to address the needs of all the monsters you find and come across.
Yeah.
You're dodging their attacks and using your act not to hit them with your sword, but to like talk to them or wash them.
The fight with Shiren is the best because you go on a full concert tour.
I like the Tsundere plane.
Yeah, Tsundere plane.
Tsundere plane. That one's really funny. The combat gets better in Deltarune, I promise.
Okay.
It's really good. I mean, I liked the combat in Undertale.
You're playing this on the Switch, I take it, Heath?
Yes.
Who's your favorite Undertale character, Heath?
I think Papyrus is the most interesting. He's a narcissistic skeleton that puts you down in the gentlest ways. But then you have to date him. And he's assuming blame for not reciprocating your feelings of love, even though you're just trying to like pander to his antics because Sans told you to, and you want Sans to think you're cool. The fact that neither of them are really saying the part out loud, that like his insecurities, that plays out the strongest of any. That's not to say that like Undyne is kind of one note.
I feel like she's a little bit complex in the fact that I don't want to say too much, but that she knows Papyrus and teaches him to become a warrior, but then is like, yeah, I'm never going to put this guy on the front lines. He will die immediately. I think that says something about her because otherwise she's just, I am peak confidence, top warrior. Yeah, I am going to kill you 100 times on the third route. Speaking from personal experience. I feel like that makes her a little bit more complex, as does her interactions with Alphys. So she's not just this like big tough girl.
I'll have more to say once I hit the pacifist ending.
Okay.
So we'll see.
If you're late, that's fine.
If you don't like Toby Fox games, audio listener,
what's wrong with you?
Don't listen to me for the next 2 months.
Yeah, that's where I come in.
And go to therapy.
Go to therapy. I'd rather play Cyberpunk 2077 than go to therapy. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Yeah, so I'm still playing this game. I'm back with another update. It's been a long time coming. So here's where I'm at with my Cyberpunk playing. It's the big RPG from CD Projekt Red. You've heard me talk about it for many episodes at this point. It's the rare experience for me where while I'm still thoroughly enjoying Cyberpunk every time I sit down to play it, at this point, I've developed a longing to play different things. This is perhaps a consequence of the prolonged, protracted way in which I've been playing Cyberpunk, where I first started playing it in December. By rights, I should be done with it, but I like intentionally put in some breaks, and there was a time period where I was experimenting with desk chairs where I was intentionally not playing things. So I've like really bastardized this playthrough. At this point, I'm currently eyeing my copy of Yakuza 5 wistfully, wondering when I'm ever going to get a chance to check back in on Kiryu and the gang, because the end of Cyberpunk is still not in sight.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Here's where I'm at. I've played it for 65 hours now. I believe there's like one more main character's set of quests that if I were to wrap that up, I'd be firmly in the end game. However, what's complicating things is I've now taken this opportunity to begin the expansion, Phantom Liberty, which wasn't originally there at launch. It came 3 years after Cyberpunk came out. I'll save my more complete thoughts on Phantom Liberty for after I've seen more of it. But so far, suffice to say, I'm really impressed with Phantom Liberty. I get the impression CD Projekt Red really brought their A game for this DLC. It's as if they had something to prove, which to be fair, they kind of did.
Yes.
After the state the game launched in. And they're like, okay, here's where we finally make good and earn back all that goodwill. Phantom Liberty has to be a banger. And from what I've seen so far, it absolutely is. So far, the scenario writing and quest design has felt like it's received a boost of care and creativity across the board. For example, I did a side quest in the DLC the other day. I came across this fresh recruit to this militaristic organization, and he was like, hey, buddy, I don't know you, but I need some advice. I've landed myself at some hot water with this organization. And instead of what I would have expected, where the character delivers some like well voice acted narration about this unfortunate situations he's into you, instead of doing that, which would have been totally sufficient, the game goes like a step above and beyond and presents you get to experience the unfortunate series of events firsthand as it gives you bespoke playable flashbacks of what the character had been doing up until this point. So instead of the narration, you get to fully play his story. And then you get caught up to the present and then have to tell him which of 3 or 4 solutions you think he should do to get out of this sticky situation. So just like a boost in the presentation, a boost in the level of immersion of, you get to play the whole thing yourself instead of just having it told to you through voice acting. So that felt like it was going above and beyond. I did a gig side quest. Gigs are usually such fluffy filler content in Cyberpunk. I really only accept them as V when I need a quick buck. They're an easy way to earn a payday. Usually a fixer will call you up, say, hey, there's this target I need you to go kill, or there's some documents I need you to smuggle out. Really just low-level side quest stuff. But the first and only gig I've done in Phantom Liberty so far was like the best gig I've seen in the game so far. A lady hires you because her husband, a cop, is locked down in this gang's hideout that he had gone to conduct a shady deal because he's a corrupt cop. And she said she received a phone call from him. And he's like, babe, I'm in hot water. Send help. And that's all I have to tell you right now. So you go in not knowing what's up. You get to the basement of this thing, trying to remain undetected because you were told stealth was going to be important. You don't know why. You find the cops. There's a really outlandish story where they were there to like sell drugs illegally. The first gang member they saw who was going to receive the drugs had a few screws loose. He just ate the drugs. And they're like, oh shit, there goes our supply. And this gang member just died because he inhaled a lethal amount of narcotics. So this isn't a good look for us. So they were panicking in the basement and they called you in for help. You're trying to escort them out. And right as you're by the finish line, the drug dealer himself arrives. He's like, oh man, sorry I'm early. Why are you guys covered in blood? What's going on? There's a tricky web of dialogue to navigate, like how truthful do you want to be? I decided to be very truthful.
And in that moment, the drug dealer got to play through everything that Chris just did and had a bespoke experience.
But no, after telling the drug dealer this outlandish story, he thinks it's as funny as I did, the player. And he's like, okay, I don't mind losing those drugs for a story that good.
What?
You guys are free to go. But then one of his goon henchmen's like, we should probably check the health vitals of like the rest of our crew. And he's like, good idea. And unfortunately, I had killed a guy on the way out. And then he's like, uh-oh.
That was my cousin.
That was my cousin. So this throwaway side content, the way you played to get out influenced the outcome at the end. Your dialogue decisions influenced how much the drug dealer was going to believe you. It was just, for what should have been the lowest level phoned it in content of the game, could have played out in many different ways based on decisions you may or may not even have been aware of you were making as you were playing through it.
Yeah, the least traveled dialogue choice that Chris chose had a logic gate check to see whether or not you killed grunt number 6.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty neat.
I felt compelled to like try to reload and not kill him to see how it could play out differently.
Were you able to successfully do that?
I was able to.
Okay. Because I know you said that in your playthrough, the reason you did kill him is because there was a door you couldn't open.
Right.
And since your intelligence is low, the only way you could open it was by literally busting through it like the Hulk. And that's not very stealthy.
The way I was playing, I wish I could have been, if I was a Netrunner build, I could have shut off all the lights in the facility and escaped stealthily. But no. Unfortunately, I have the curse of having massive forearms instead. So instead, I ripped the door off its hinges and enemies immediately saw me. Good thing, if you deflect bullets back at enemies, it apparently knocks them out. So that's how I non-lethally incapacitated them.
Right. Of course.
I'll just say one last thing that really tickled me about Phantom Liberty so far is that in this dystopian RPG where you play this no-name mercenary taking jobs off the street.
His name's V.
Yeah, his name is V.
Okay.
He literally has a name. I was just saying he's not like a
celebrity.
He's not a celebrity.
He's just like some guy.
For a brief hour or two, the president of the United States joins your RPG party, and you two get chummy pretty quick.
Yeah, Pan Am, watch out. I saw him flirting with her. You got competition.
The president is a Netrunner build.
So that was just, it was so funny to me that I was becoming best buds with the president.
Can you pickpocket the president? And you go to pickpocket him, and it's like the launch code.
Yeah.
Just 1% chance of success.
I would just reload until I got it.
And then you sell those for some gig bucks.
You can pickpocket the launch codes and sell them, but it does immediately end the game.
Yeah, it ends your game like 50 minutes later.
Yeah.
Right. Once they've made it onto the cyberspace. Yeah, the only qualm I have left about Cyberpunk right now is what I call the late game RPG progression curve curse. This is not unique to Cyberpunk. It's a tough, tricky design problem to solve, where I'm now playing the big expansion bolted on to the end of an already long RPG. And the issue I've run into is my playstyle is so well defined. I have so thoroughly finished speccing into my sword wielding skills. There's no more carrots for me to chase. I've got my late game gear. My skill tree is maxed as far as skills I care about. There's nothing left for me to look forward to for like new skills or ways to play. I have just been playing the same way for a dozen hours at this point. I don't think it's likely to change anytime soon or ever again. So the gameplay of Cyberpunk has become rote. It's because at this stage in the game, I'm level 50. By this hour count, I should have been rolling credits. I'm not though, because I'm in the extra content that was added years later. So it's just the fact that I'm playing this buffet of content all at once. They didn't make the skill trees way longer to accommodate the extra, I don't know how long Phantom Liberty is, 30 hours of new content. It would have been really labor intensive to like add 30 more hours worth of progression to keep tinkering with your character. So my play style has just become rote and repetitive. That's my issue. It's the late game progression curse. This has happened to me in other RPGs that are just by nature of new content being added. Things get boring.
You did up the difficulty in an attempt to rectify that.
It's now such a breeze. I'm like desperate for a challenge.
Yeah. And they are challenging you.
They were messing with my optics. But no, overall, Cyberpunk 2077, I'm still having an excellent time with it. I might take a break for Undertale, though. That could be my excuse.
Also, if you're a citizen of Cyberpunk, what's the city called?
Night City.
Don't trust Chris as V. He will agree to be your bodyguard, and the minute anyone comes offering him a bribe, when you're unconscious on the table, he will take that bribe and never see you again.
I delivered the client to his end destination. My job was finished.
No. He was passed out on the surgery table.
He received the surgery he needed. Mission done.
I'm pretty sure that surgery is about to be undone.
That's out of my control.
Yeah, don't trust this guy.
All right. That's enough Cyberpunk, especially because listeners, you're going to hear about it at least one more time.
Probably two more.
Shall we move on to a game we've both been playing, Samantha?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That game is a little card game we talked about last episode. It's Slay the Spire.
I think I'm mostly finished with my playing of it for the foreseeable future.
That might be because after just 2 weeks of Slay the Spire gameplay, Samantha is already rivaling my playtime in Slay the Spire.
Listen.
A game I've been playing off and on for 6 years.
My life is really stressful right now, and I need something that my brain can focus on entirely, and I can block everything else out. And it's working, or it was until the game became kind of rote to me. So let's talk about Slay the Spire, Chris. It's a roguelike card game where you go through 3 to 4 acts and try to defeat the final boss with one of 4 characters. I have successfully defeated the Heart, which is the boss in Act 4, with 3 of them. I played exactly 1 run with the Watcher. and I hated her so much, I literally never touched her again.
That's crazy. I love her.
There's the Ironclad, the Silent, and the Defect, and the Watcher. The Ironclad is just kind of your basic big punch, big block.
We explained the classes last episode.
Oh, okay. Then I guess I'll stop. My favorite is the Defect. He has all these orbs that kind of work to passively either do damage or block you as you create new orbs, and you can cycle them through to do extra damage or extra block. I just think he's really cute and fun. I find like setting up your passive block for later is really great because that frees up your action economy to do big attacks. And you can just be like, oh, my orbs are going to block for me. So I find him really easy to do. He was the first one I used to beat the heart. My last thing I'm trying to wrap up is I'm trying to beat him on Ascension level 10. So far, I've made it to Ascension level 6. Ascension levels, basically, you just up the difficulty and they add different difficulty modifiers. I've also beat the Heart with the Silent and the Ironclad. The Ironclad's pretty fun because there is a card called Barricaded, which lets you carry over your block in between turns, which normally disappears in between turns. You have to like reblock every time. And that one's really fun because your block can get stupid big. Like I would say like a really harsh attack from an enemy is maybe like 70. And you're like, if an enemy's doing 70 damage, like you better have a good block strategy.
Yeah, that's potentially lethal.
That could be like instant kill. But when you're barricaded like I am, I was laughing at the 70 attacks because my block was around 900. So I was like, yeah, you're doing chip damage to my block, not even to me. So that was a lot of fun to exploit.
Yeah, because like in any good roguelike, you're having the most fun when you found a gross synergy and you can laugh at the game because you've totally busted the balance wide open.
Yes, I think that is, of course, the best part of the game is when you're like, oh, my build is so stupid good. Like I'm winning the fight on turn 1 with electrodynamics. My critique of this game is that for each character, the playstyle is really different. I think that's where it shines. However, for each character, once I figured out what the optimal synergy was, I feel like there's not a ton of flexibility on good synergies. Like, you probably can win with the Defect in more than one way. I'm not saying that you can't, but there is definitely one path that is a lot easier and going to have a much higher success rate. And if you deviate from that too much, you're going to struggle. Once I figured out what the optimal paths were for the Ironclad, the Silent, and the Defect, the amount of fun I was having and the amount of brain power I was using significantly decreased, which is why I think I rate it lower than Inscription. And I guess if we're comparing it to roguelikes, I know this isn't a card game roguelike, but Into the Breach is definitely higher up on my list, just because I feel like it captures more of your attention as you progress through the game. Whereas Slay the Spire, I feel like once I nailed all 3 of those, I was just kind of like, well, I don't need to do that again. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, of the card game roguelikes I've played, Balatro and Inscription and Slay the Spire, and Monster Train, I suppose. I guess I just personally didn't find that to be the case. I found myself returning the most to Slay the Spire. The criticism you had where there's kind of an optimal strategy and I should try to pursue it every time. That's kind of how I feel about Balatro, where you want to multiply your multiplier.
That's true. I guess in Balatro, there's the shop. There's only, you don't get to see every single Joker in the shop. In Slay the Spire, you may not get to see every super rare card, but you basically are seeing all the common and the blue level rare cards. You know, you're having your pick by the time you reach the 3rd boss.
Yeah. Relics, which are much more unpredictable, also play a big role in defining how you play.
They do, to some extent.
And then
using the Defect, I'm never going to pick up the claw cards. Those are always just dead draws when I see them in my options.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I think the level of asymmetry between the factions gives me the variety I'm looking for. I would bounce around between the classes pretty often, though.
Maybe that was my fault because I would be like, okay, I defeated the Heart with the Defect. Now I'm going to do it with the Silent.
She's
and
systematic.
I would just play as the Silent until I got to the Heart.
Got it. I'll say this return visit to Slay the Spire, I've been playing it a lot as well recently. I was finally able to reach the Act 4 true ending with the Defect character, who was Samantha's favorite. He was the least intuitive to me right off the bat.
It was love at first sight for me. I saw his orbs, and I saw when you evoke an orb, it like does a big attack or big defend, whatever. When you evoke the electricity for the first time, I was like, oh, it's got that juice. I liked it.
Yeah.
So I played it ever since.
Where he was a little more swimming upstream for me to come to grips with. I guess what finally made him click for me was more so than the other classes. I feel like the Defect seems to reward building up an engine even more, where all the characters, to some extent, you want to like play your power cards first so that you're benefiting from a passive benefit for the rest of the fight. Where the Defect, you want to spin up your orb economy, get your focus going.
There's one synergy I've been able to do with him a couple times where there's like a super rare power card that lets you, the first card you play every turn is played twice. So if you can line that up to be your first power card, then every other power card you play is played twice. And that can be disgusting.
That's huge.
It's like your engine is so big, the fight is over before it's fully constructed.
But the key to my success this time around was kind of figuring out how critical defensive cards were with the Defect, because they give you that added survivability and durability in the early stages where you are setting up your engine. And then once you turn the engine on, it's the fight will play itself by that point. But yeah, cards like Glacier, I was underestimating in the past.
To be fair, until Chris proved to me how good Glacier was, so was I. So I think that's a common mistake.
And then the last tidbit I'll praise about Slay the Spire, I must have been doing this in the past, but I became especially aware of it this time around. I enjoyed when you reach the next act of the game, which is like a 1/3 chunk of your run. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And you look at the big map of routes you could take as you chart a branching path to the final boss of that act. And you can see all the stops you make along the way, be it fights, boss encounters, rest stops, merchants. And I really enjoyed weighing the various trade-offs each path provided and kind of just planning my entire path right at the very start.
Of course.
Right. Not being tactical about it, being very long-term strategic. Thinking about things like, okay, I don't want to hit a merchant twice in a row because I'll have drained all my funds on the first visit and that second merchant stop will be a waste. Or thinking about, okay, hopefully I hit a rest stop so I can heal up right before I try to do an elite encounter. Things like that, trying to hit as many fireplaces as you can. Just the puzzle of planning your whole route at the start. I don't think I fully appreciated how you should think about, you should absorb the entire contents of the map right at the front and know how you're going to travel through it.
Spend a 2-hour play session of just charting.
Instead of going more tactically stop by stop.
It's at the point where now when the map pops up, I don't look at my 4 start options. I scroll to the top and I work my way back down.
Interesting.
Because I'm like...
Trickle down Spirenomics.
Trickle down Spirenomics. And how do I get the most fires with the fewest elite fights? That's usually my bag, unless you have certain relics that you're like, maybe I do want to fight those elites more.
Right. You can be incentivized to fight them.
And I have some hot tips for Slay the Spire players out there. Just 2. The first is, if you're like me and you're like, hey, if I just don't do combat, my health will be so big. That does seem like a good idea. You can dodge the combat by trying to hit as many of those question marks as possible and hoping none of those are combat. However, you will reach the first boss and you will get absolutely smacked down because you haven't been building your deck at all. You haven't been getting new cards. Maybe you have more relics, but it's not going to really do you much good in the first act. So try to have a good balance between fighting those fights and getting those random events. Sometimes they're cooler than a fight. Sometimes they're less cool. My second advice is if you're trying to beat the heart, there are 3 requirements you got to do, and one of them is to fight like a flaming elite. You want to set up your flaming elite fight in Acts 1 or 2, and you want to make sure you're hitting a fireplace really soon before and really soon after. If the flaming elite fight is in between like 4 straight combat encounters, maybe just wait till the next act because you're probably going to suffer unless it's like a really easy elite fight for you. So yeah, those would be my 2 cool pieces of advice. Chris, do you have anything to say to that?
Not really.
Okay. Great.
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Excellent.
You guys have played enough of this game to know. Imagine I'm a person who's never played a deck building game, and I don't care about maybe 100%ing it. I'm just looking to have the most fun.
Sure.
And I can only play one of them. Which one do I play?
I mean, it's going to depend on who you are. If you're just like, yeah, big number go up, maybe play the Ironclad.
Are you asking about class or which game?
Let's do both.
Oh.
If either.
What
of
was
them
your
is simple.
intention?
I was gonna say game.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
Just kidding.
I mean, best story, Inscription.
Yeah.
Gotta be. If you care about narrative and spooky vibes, it's Inscription. And then from a pure mechanical standpoint, I guess Inscription, if you like card games in the vein of Magic the Gathering, where there's a battlefield and cards bash up against each other, and there's like blocking of lanes. But
Because there's only one lane in Slay the Spire.
Slay the Spire doesn't have lanes per se.
You're 2 guys, and then it's like your cards are your actions, essentially. Yeah. You're just tossing them into the ether.
Yeah. I mean, what is on your nomination list, Heath?
Like what you said, like Monster Train, Inscription.
Balatro.
Okay. If you've never played any roguelike card games, I'd be wondering, I have to assume you're not very familiar with the genre, in which case, what's the most approachable option? Probably Balatro.
I think you're right. Balatro is the most approachable, but if you want to get people to like roguelike card games, Inscription is going to sell them with the story, and then they'll learn to get the card game.
Show them a screenshot of Inscription, and if they respond well to it, tell them to play it.
Yeah.
If they're like,
My screen is too dark. I can't see what it is.
then play Balatro.
Yeah, I mean, much better. The screen is brighter. And then question number 2 is the heart the final boss of Slay the Spire 2, or is it like the brain?
Ooh,
We'll find out, I guess.
I hope it's the appendix.
The prostate.
What, hit it so many times that
It makes it
ejects you
harder to
out.
pee, yeah.
All right. And that's everything we've been playing. Stay tuned. We'll be back after the break to talk about all the exciting Nintendo news. See you then. And we're back.
We're back.
Hey, we've heard all about the Switch 2.
Yep. And I'm thinking about buying an Xbox Series W or something.
Oof.
Imagine.
Yeah, so a few days ago, we saw the big April 2nd blowout reveal direct from Nintendo, of which, over the course of 1 week, we actually had 2 Nintendo Directs.
I watched the first one thinking it was the second one.
Oh, no.
And I saw a trailer for Chunsoft's next game.
Yes.
Right.
What's that thing called?
AI, the Somnium Files.
With that lady in the bunny ears suit.
That sounds on brand.
Chris, I pity you. That game
What?
looks unplayable. I would never touch that game.
Chris and I are going to play AI, the Somnium Files this year.
Yeah, we're going to play the first one and check in.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Yeah, you were viewing the trailer for the 3rd game in that series.
Yeah.
Someone keeps buying them. They keep making them.
Dude,
I love Spike Chunsoft. They're my favorite developer.
how do you put up with that? She must be so cool.
So let's dive into general impressions. I think we've all watched or at least reviewed the headlines of the Switch 2 Direct. I'll say I was there to watch it as it was airing.
What? Oh my God. Sorry. I just imagined you like front row seat of Nintendo's E3, whatever.
No, I was in my apartment watching it, but as it debuted. And upon finishing the presentation, I was feeling pretty high on the Direct and the console itself directly after watching it. How could I not be? After both Hollow Knight Silksong and Legally Distinct Bloodborne 2 were both shown. Probably the 2 most requested titles in every Game Showcase presentation's live chat feed for the past 5 years.
And Chris is not even mentioning Deltarune New Chapters launch title.
There was a lot to be excited about. Yeah. And I had my decision to wait for new Nintendo hardware before playing Tears of the Kingdom vindicated directly before my eyes. I was very hyped about the whole thing. But then, after watching it, as more details that were confusingly absent from the presentation started to trickle out after the fact, I found my excitement levels cooling.
We're in the same boat for that reason. I'll say you didn't have every answer to your question and you needed more details. Why don't you just pay for this instruction manual welcome tour for the hardware system?
Right. They were showing off a new game software that gives you a tour of your Switch 2, teaches you like how the magnets work, and there's some mini games. And I'm like, okay, cool, little pack-in, so you have something to do if you don't buy a game.
Everybody liked it when they first saw it.
But then as it ended, they're like, pre-order now or whatever. It's a paid game. That's crazy.
For that reason, it better have some sort of Frog Fractions twist.
Right.
What else could justify that price tag?
Galaxy 3 is locked behind completing it.
I saw a fake poster for Galaxy 3 and I thought it was announced.
Oh,
Damn.
no.
It would look really polished, the poster.
No, but that instructional game, I don't even remember the title of. I thought it was going to be the Astrobot Wii Sports pack-in, but no. It's a game. I don't know what the pricing is.
They wouldn't even tell you the price of the system during the Direct.
They snuck that by the goalie. I finished the presentation. I didn't even realize they didn't tell me how much it costs.
Snuck by the goalie. Yeah. Rewind all the way back to the Silk Song reveal. I blinked and I missed it.
Right.
I had to rewind, and when I did, I screamed. Upon seeing Hollow Knight Silk Song got announced, I immediately closed the Direct and opened rock, paper, scissors meta so that when we revisit our publisher draft, I can guarantee the W for Silk Song. Because that's how we're going to pick who goes first, right?
Going first isn't the advantage you think it is, because
Sure it is.
When we revisit the draft, we are using an auction format.
It's okay, Heath. Just outbid Chris.
Yeah, just outbid me.
You already locked down Mario Kart unannounced.
Yeah.
You're
well
killing
done,
it.
Mario Kart World
Claps
on
for
your
Heath.
publisher.
Yeah.
And you can drive anywhere.
You could play as the cow.
You can play as a Moo.
Moo moo.
Need we say anymore?
I don't know if you guys, surely you had Mario Kart as kids. I don't know if you and your siblings ever just like booted up a course and instead of racing around, just kind of like drove around and took in the atmosphere. But me and my siblings certainly did that on occasion. And I feel like Nintendo is speaking to me directly, making it an open world Mario Kart.
I didn't do that, but I have something just as bad. I would boot it up and just listen to the music tracks.
Oh my.
Interesting.
Just sit on the circuit, engine puttering, but it'd be like
Yeah.
Waluigi's Stadium.
I like
Good
that
track.
they're mixing up the formula to Mario Kart more than I can remember them ever doing with this free roam mode. I'm curious to see like how much content there'll actually be to do in the open world.
I just kind of want to go look around, take in the vibes, listen to the music.
Heath and I have been talking a lot, Samantha. As maybe the biggest Nintendo fan here, what's your temperature on the Switch 2?
Well, I mean, I can't say enough how pleased I was at Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 released as a launch title. That's crazy. I was through the roof. I told Chris that, yeah, there were a lot of announcements here, but they just kept saying Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4. I was blind to everything else. But once I calmed down, I was able to see there's going to be a new Hyrule Warriors game. I played Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I liked it pretty well. I am not sure how hot I am on this new one, which is Age of Imprisonment, because
What a title.
what a title. There's been a lot of Hyrule Warriors. Age of Calamity was associated with Breath of the Wild, and it was like an alternate universe telling of that story. You could play as the characters, and it was like, Chris, tell me what genre of game that is where you're killing like thousands of enemies.
It's a Musou game.
A Muso. Ah.
It's that game. And I really liked playing as Link and Sidon and Mifa, which are all very like, you swing your spear, you swing your sword, and you block real good and use the water. I liked that combat. I absolutely did not agree with the magic combat that Zelda gets in the late game. So far, in fact, that her introductory mission, I could not pass. I could not beat it. I simply could not kill the enemies fast enough with her stupid magic attacks. The issue I'm seeing is an Age of Imprisonment.
Yeah, there's no innocence when you're imprisoned.
Good God. It's a companion game to Tears of the Kingdom. It's like a prequel. It looks like it's going to be Zelda and a bunch of the new race they introduced in Tears of the Kingdom that I'm blanking on. And they all look very magic coated. So I'm worried that it's not going to be my cup of tea this time around. all that to say, I will wait to see what the gameplay looks like of Age of Imprisonment before I buy it, but I'm interested.
Very good.
I'm excited about other launch titles, and I'm glad that Tears of the Kingdom is getting new content and stuff like that. It looks really good.
Yeah.
The Zonai?
The Zonai. Thank you, Heath, for
Even
Googling
sound
that for
magic
me.
coded.
Yes. Yeah.
Ayo, rewind though. I wanted to say this about Silksong.
Sure.
For those who can't comprehend how blindsided we were, it showed it for half a second at the very end.
It was like 3 seconds in a montage.
Unbelievable.
No fanfare.
Folks, imagine passing by the break room at work and overhearing someone on the TV say, catch an all-new episode of The Big Bang Theory this Thursday, 8/7 Central, right after President Trump's resignation speech and the Tupac Welcome Back concert. You'd be like, what?
Right.
Unbelievable.
It almost, the level of nonchalance they paid to it almost makes me feel like Team Cherry isn't certain it's really coming out.
That's what I said. Is the reason they did it so short like that is they're like, Nintendo's like, yeah, we'll put you in our announcements, but are you actually releasing this year? Or are you just saying that? And Team Cherry's like, we're releasing.
Yeah.
We don't have a date for you, but
It's gonna come out this year.
Come on, guys. It's coming.
it's amusing how I have a long list of bullet points on my get hyped list.
Okay.
But for every single one of them, there is a counterpoint on my pump the brakes list. I'll run through them here. It's exciting. It's coming out really soon. The Switch 2 releases on June 5th.
Yeah.
We're less than 2 months out.
Yeah.
Or 2 months to the day.
To the day.
Today.
That's exciting. At the same time, I don't know if we're going to be able to order one. I don't even really blame Nintendo for this. They announced on the day of the presentation, pre-order on April 9th. That's no longer the case because the same day the Switch 2 Direct was happening, United States announced a whole bunch of tariffs for some reason, and Nintendo now does not know when you will be able to order one.
Yeah, because Nintendo is like, we manufacture all these in China. I know. We'll move our manufacturing to Vietnam.
Right.
And then what happens? Like the biggest tariff of all is like 47% or something for Vietnam products.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're getting boned.
Hey, if they ship them to Russia, tariff problem solved.
Right. Not on that list.
Yeah, this is only a problem if you live in the U.S.
Yeah, but
Right.
but it'll be I can't even make this joke.
Okay.
Next, okay. The Switch 2 price, weirdly not in the presentation. After the fact, we learned it's $450. Believe it or not, that's actually on my get hyped list. I assumed the lowest it could possibly be was $400, and the most expensive it would be $500. And it's smack dab in the middle. So I put that on my get hyped list because it's within my expectations.
Yeah.
The pump the brake counterpoint is then I saw what they're charging for their games. And those got a substantial price bump. So Switch games no longer cost $60. They're jumping right over the industry standard. They raised to $80 for a Switch game.
And Chris, what if I want a physical copy of my game?
I don't know if that's true, but I've seen lots of rumors that if you want a physical copy of a game, it's going to be even more. It's like $90.
No.
Fact
No.
check me on that. I was seeing that physical games are even more pricey for the Switch 2.
Which, if they need to physically mail me a copy from a country that's not the United States.
That could be like the tariff price is being factored into a physical good.
Thanks. Whoever invented those tariffs, you did a great job.
I'm seeing a lot of $79.99.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe the higher price for physical games is a rumor and not
mean,
true.
Let's hope so.
It's like a Euro-Canadian conversion
But
myth.
be it as it may, a 33% price hike on their games is nothing to sneeze at. Moving on down my list, I was very pleased and surprised to see the Switch 2 screen has a 120 frames per second refresh rate. I
Yo.
was like, whoa.
Yo.
And it has HDR. I was like, okay, those are some luxury features.
Still. Okay. Did you make your point? The comparison that they did, Mario's face on the Switch versus Mario's face on the Switch 2, doing the zoom in and how pixelated both of them were. The balls of Nintendo to be like, it's gonna look like this. It reminded me of the beginning of makeup girl videos where they show themselves without makeup and it's like, yikes.
I see.
Oh my God.
Wow, they didn't shy away from the resolution at all.
Oh, I think the screen being 1080p is totally fine.
Are you misremembering the exact image that it's in my mind?
I must not have seen it.
Okay.
The pump the brakes moment I was going to mention was there is no option to buy an OLED screen, though, which does exist currently for the current Switch. Only LCD is going to be available for the Switch 2 at launch. Everyone knows 2 or 3 years later, there's going to be an OLED option, but I wanted it to be available as at least an option right there at launch. Because I'm now an OLED believer. It's hard for me to go back.
All I'm hearing is, Samantha, I'm actually not going to play Tears of the Kingdom like I said I would when the Switch 2 launched. I'm going to wait for the next console. Because by the time the OLED comes out, Switch 3 will be years
Right
away.
around the corner.
Yeah, I'm cursed.
I'll say one more thing that has
Yeah.
to do with like the resolution underwhelming. The like friend play, you can see what other people are playing on their Switch
Yes.
2s.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
And the frame rate.
Right.
It's like 10 frames a second. And they showed it.
Warts and all.
This is what you can expect. Like, I am amazed that they didn't try to sweep
Yes.
that under the rug.
So for the uninformed, there's a new feature.
They came out with Discord and FaceTime.
Nintendo is releasing Party Chat, a feature you could be using on Xbox for the past 2 decades. And they made a
Groundbreaking.
big deal about it. It took up a lot of runtime at that presentation.
In Nintendo's defense, it's not like they had Call of Duty on the Switch to really motivate that innovation like the Xbox did.
Call of Duties have been on Nintendo platforms.
Yeah, but like, you know, people weren't buying the Switch to play Call of Duty. They were buying like an Xbox.
Is it the chicken or the egg? Was Call of Duty not coming to the Switch because of their archaic internet infrastructure? Probably.
I think Grace Ryder, a friend of mine who does queue up Fortnite in Switch lobbies, this is a meaningful distinction.
Okay.
Because then you can play duos and see what your buddy's looking at.
All right.
Right. So the little extra feature, instead of just being strictly a voice party chat, is you can buy a camera add-on to see your friends when they're playing and see their screen live and in action.
And them.
And them like a streamer. And like as Heath said, when you're seeing the feed of your friend's screen, it is legitimately a slideshow. It was baffling they felt that was a tantalizing thing to show in their big direct as a piece of marketing.
Just so honest. I was shocked.
Right. Honest to a fault. You can definitely tell the idea for this camera chat, play with the friends in your room without leaving the house. This idea was definitely floated in 2020 as they were R&Ding this thing.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
But moving on along, I was personally, I don't know how big a deal this is for other people, but for me, I was super jazzed to see that certain Switch 1 games are receiving enhanced, upgraded versions on the Switch 2. Namely, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are getting upgraded ports with higher resolution, higher frame rates.
Three Houses gets a fourth house.
God, I wish. Hey, Chris, should we now talk about the fact that Super Mario Party Jamboree is among those games?
Right. They made a big deal about Super Mario Party Jamboree getting new minigames with the enhanced version.
Let's talk about our experience with it, shall we, Chris?
Yeah, so we played Mario Party Jamboree.
My sister got it for me for Christmas. So
We played it in December.
Yeah.
I was very reluctant to talk about it on this show.
for reasons you'll find out. So Chris and I just played together with 2 NPCs. It was a 4-player Mario Party.
It's just the two of you?
Yeah, with 2 NPCs.
With 2 NPCs.
I heard you.
Yeah.
Wow, bro. I'm sorry.
And we were on the final turn. The NPCs were just cleaning up.
Better than you guys?
The final,
No.
they were cleaning up. By that, I mean they were just taking the formality.
They weren't cleaning house.
They weren't cleaning house. They were doing the formality of their final turn.
Sure.
I was beating Samantha by a star. I was in the clear. The NPC who was in their game with us, Spike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Iconic. He's voiced by Sebastian Maniscalco in the film.
Oh my God.
Spike comes over. He lands on my space and manages to steal my star.
Just like through a random event.
From a random event, he goes up a star. No big deal. Samantha and I are tied on stars.
Chris is like, I'm going to win on the bonus stars. It's going to be fine.
I'm going to win on the tiebreaker. I'm not sweating bullets.
Yeah.
Spike, you can have the star. Lucky for you. And then he walks onto Samantha's space, challenges her to a duel, and wagers a star.
When you land on the same space, it triggers a duel.
And I immediately put my head in my hands as I realize the results of this challenge are known to me. Samantha's getting this fucking star.
Spike stole a star from Chris.
Spike is on Samantha's payroll, the way he throws this minigame.
Dollar bills falling out of his shell.
Meanwhile, I'm like, if I lose now, Chris is going to tell this story on the podcast, and it will be to my humiliation.
I did not win Mario Party that evening.
It was not a jamboree for Chris.
Yeah, that was Chris's one and only Mario Party experience, probably for the rest of his life.
So yeah, I was really hoping the Switch 2 would run Switch games at a higher performance. The pump the brakes moment is it won't automatically run it like you would expect a PC to do when you give it better hardware. You've got to pay for the privilege and give Nintendo money before they enhance your edition.
Which means if you already own Tears of the Kingdom, you'll have to pay a fee to make it run better. But if you buy their new enhanced copy, it's in the price, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, since Nintendo's being cagey, we don't know what that fee is yet. I'm expecting $10. If it's more than that, I'll be upset.
I was expecting 20.
Oof.
Yeah.
Here's something we haven't said in much detail yet. The Dusk Bloods, Heath.
Yeah, I got excited.
Did you watch that trailer? Did you see the reactions?
Yeah. Everyone's super hype.
I was watching that live, and that was my mouth on the floor moment.
Right.
I couldn't believe I was watching. Ostensibly Bloodborne is here, and it's a Switch exclusive. What the behind the scenes drama to take a PlayStation IP, give it a slightly different name, and then give it to Nintendo as a big selling point of their new console. It's from Software proper. I view it as, you know how Dark Souls isn't technically Demon Souls 2? I view it as the Dusk Bloods isn't technically Bloodborne, but...
Yeah, literally every announcement for, what did you call it, Dark Blood?
The Dusk Bloods.
The Dusk Bloods was like, yeah, Bloodborne 2 is coming out. It doesn't have that name, but it's Bloodborne 2.
Yeah, I thought it was a coup de grace moment for Nintendo until, after the fact, we learn it's a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
It's another Night Rain situation.
Yeah.
Watching the trailer, I had no indication that was the case. It was a real bait and switch, it felt like.
It looked like a real Bloodborne 2.
It looked like a real Bloodborne 2, but it's a PvPvE game. It's... But what is up with From Software? They've got a real fixation on multiplayer all of a sudden.
Night Rain's not out yet, right?
It's even weirder to me that they've announced another multiplayer game before their first multiplayer game has even come out.
I'm wondering if Night Rain flops. Dusk Bloods is coming out pretty soon.
Dusk Bloods, it was dated for next year.
Yeah. I don't know.
Still crazy announcement. We're winding down here. I'll say, yeah, I was excited to see Deltarune launch title. Chapters 1 to 4. Pump the brakes, though. Damn it, it's still not the full game. How long is it going to take, Toby?
Shut up, Chris.
He's one
Toby,
guy.
Take as long as you need, buddy. Don't let Chris rush you. You're doing great. Deltarune chapters 1 and 2 were phenomenal.
Yeah, didn't chapter 1 come out in 2018?
Don't listen to Chris, Toby. You're doing great. Keep at it, buddy.
I don't know if I should play it yet.
Yes.
At this release cadence, it'll be finished in 2031. Am I going to remember what happens?
For those of you who are like, should I just play Deltarune now or should I wait? As the only person who's played Deltarune, Heath, you're going to be in that party soon. The chapters are relatively self-contained. Like, you're not going into the same world per se in each of the chapters. So I think you're free to play them now. And they're not super long. They're like probably each chapter is as long as an Undertale regular route. So if you're like, oh, I'm not going to remember it in 5 years. Well, in 5 years, you can just replay them, you know? They're fun. I love them. I am excited to replay them because chapters 3 and 4 are coming out. Like, I'm looking forward to that.
Chris is lamenting the chapters 5 and 6. We think
And 7.
Oh.
This game is now halfway out.
Okay. All right, I feel differently about that.
Thank you.
But the first 2 chapters are so good. I'm so excited.
There's no chance that 3 and 4 flop.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no chance I'll remember the plot by the time 7 releases.
I'm sure you will because I remember exactly where chapter 2 left off.
You're a child, the prophecy foretold, and look at all these fun characters you get the friendship simulator about.
Yeah. The soundtrack's going to be a banger.
Do you know about the secret route in Chapter 2 of Deltarune, Heath?
I don't know the secret route.
Well, you have another route to add to your to-do list.
Well, it just ends with Big Shot.
That is the secret route, yes.
Oh, then I guess I do.
Yeah.
I thought that was Maine.
I think so. I think that's on the secret route.
Listen, there was no... If it involved Spampton, then there was no way I wasn't going to know about it.
I forgot how big Spampton was when he came out. Oh my God, you saw him everywhere.
Buddy, I'm thinking of getting his glasses.
They're good glasses. Yeah, he's a cutie pie.
We made it through my list. There were other games we haven't mentioned, like Kirby Air Riders.
Oh, yes. I played that on the GameCube when I was a child. Much in the same vein, I did not really do the racing component. I think it's pretty, widely regarded as a bad racing game, but the City Trials, which is like the open world part of it, was great.
I spent a lot of time in that city.
Yeah, me too. I probably booted up that game more times than I did Mario Kart Double Dash, which I also had and I loved, just so I could zoom through the city and find a cool cart and hit my siblings with my cart. So I'm excited for the new Kirby Air Ride. I hope they build on their success and they don't just release a bunch of tracks and it's like, I'm like, okay, well, I don't even like Mario Kart that much anymore, so I don't like this game.
Wait, can I...
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just make one note about Kirby Air Ride? I just like to highlight a meme that I'm fond of. You know, the difference in box art between the Japanese version and the American version. Right? We gotta give Kirby an angry face,
He's
right?
glaring at you.
So people have since parodied that where Kirby's fucking pissed. Which is, I've known about this for years, but that's all I could think about.
That's pretty good.
Jeez. I like the adult-only rating on that box art.
Yeah, that's good.
Chris, we missed this Switch 1 announcement, which only literally I care about, which is the Tomodachi Life sequel.
Sure. Say your piece, Samantha.
Oh, I don't want to say too much about it because this is like for nobody in our audience, but it's just like a cute little Sims where the characters have like a lot of more free will and you're kind of like the island caretaker. I had so much fun playing this game. It's such a cozy little game. If you're a big cozy game fan out there, maybe try the first Tomodachi Life on for size. It's a 3DS game. I'm going to be buying the second one. I'm going to be playing it, and I'm going to have a lot of fun, and Chris is going to hate it.
I mean, he'll enjoy remaking his Mii. Everyone likes that.
Of course. It's so much fun. Yeah, I'm a sucker for like just making little guys and then making them have fun. It's a good time.
Heath, anything to say about Donkey Kong Bonanza?
Bonanza. I always pick Donkey Kong for Mario Kart.
Oh.
When Donkey Kong was shown, I was expecting that to be the reveal of the next 3D Mario platformer. And yet, it was not.
You had egg on your face.
I had egg on my face.
As well as
banana.
Yeah. I don't know, Chris. It looks excellent, but I'm no more drawn to play that than I am to open the copy of Odyssey I still own.
Sure.
Ooh. Wait, you're hyped for Galaxy 3, but you won't play Odyssey? Do that math for me,
Yes.
Heath. Okay.
Yeah.
No, Heath, I'm asking you because I feel the same way and I'd want to understand myself better. Why do I feel that way?
I'll be the sole host coming to bat for Odyssey. It's a lot of fun.
I wish I could play it.
Dude, jumping is hard.
Yeah.
And then you have to spin.
Like I have to land on the hat. That seems hard.
It's pretty automatic.
Okay.
I'll say one last thing in closing on the Switch 2, and that is, I imagine it is free reign for other publishers to begin raising the price of their games, probably. It would come as an absolute shock if Mario Kart releasing this year costs more than GTA 6, correct?
Yeah, they should be the same price.
Oh, I was thinking GTA saw the prices Nintendo was charging and said GTA $100 is actually what's the prices. Yeah.
I think a stripped down GTA 6 that doesn't have multiplayer is going to cost $80. But if you want the full thing that you can play with your friends, then it's $100.
Yeah, I think Nintendo was the first mover. Every other publisher breathed a sigh of relief and dabbed the sweat off as they're about to follow suit.
Oh, because other publishers would be vilified if had they made pulled the lever.
Nintendo takes the brunt of the publicity hit, and now everyone can follow suit.
Because everyone's too excited by the absolute feast of Nintendo releases in the Nintendo Switch 2 to give them too much shit for it.
I've seen Nintendo has been taking shit for it.
I mean, good, but they're not going to change.
Right. They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck.
In fact, they're going to come back next week when they re-reveal the pre-order date, the price might have gone up.
They'll be like, we heard you guys bitching. Here, this is what you get. $10 more.
Play nice next time.
Yeah, be nice. Chris, this is one small thing, which is that GameCube games are now going to be...
Oh, right. Part of the virtual console.
Yes, for part of Nintendo Switch Online, which I am a member because my family has it. And that's great for me. I love GameCube games. Who doesn't? They're fantastic.
Just to keep the theme going, the get hyped, pump the brakes. It's like get hyped. GameCube games on virtual console. Hooray! You can play Windbreaker. Wait a minute. Does that mean you're actually never releasing that Wind Waker remaster? Damn it. It doesn't bode well.
I don't know. When I saw that, Switch 2 in my mind was just rewritten. And it was like, oh, this is a Pokemon machine now. Because then I could play my favorite Pokemon games from when I was in middle school.
Right.
Oh, I bet people are excited about that.
People being Heath.
People being Heath.
I looked at that controller that you can only buy if you're a special person, and I wanted it.
I mean, I'm happy to transition to Death Stranding 2, but everybody write into the Mobius Tubes email, which is
MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com.
and tell Chris, please, dear God, do not wait for the OLED screen. Just buy the goddamn Switch 2, because one of us has to buy it, and it's going to be Chris. And Chris, you got to play Tears of the Kingdom. I was playing it when I met you 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And ever since then, you've been like, oh, I'll play it when the Switch 2 comes out. I promise. Don't make yourself a liar.
I was vindicated. There's performance enhancements.
Yeah. There are.
Heath, Death Stranding 2.
Okay. So I watched the trailer that you told me to watch. The question on everybody's mind, first of all, is, do I need to play Death Stranding 1 to understand Death Stranding 2? And I think that answer to that question almost horseshoe back around to no, because
Oh my God.
I've played Death Stranding 1, and even I think I won't understand Death Stranding 2. Man, if you ever want the most job security in the video games industry, be the guy that's on Kojima's shoulder saying, you know what we could do with Heartman? We redesign him. He's the same actor, same voice, same pants, same shirt, but we change his glasses to be heart-shaped. And Kojima says, you're promoted. You know, I always make fun of Chris.
Always.
So true.
Without cease.
Same here.
There'll be times when he's playing Yakuza or whatever,
Hell yeah.
and I'll be like, man, Chris does not have suspension of disbelief. He has nickel-plated monster truck shock absorbers of disbelief. But then I have to turn that criticism right back at me and think, this guy's going to have a carry-on baby hamper on his chest, because now Lou is 11 months old, and is going to go through sandstorm environments and tar and just flicking everywhere off of these vehicles that you can have in Death Stranding 2. It just totally takes you out of it. Like, I could understand, like, Lou in the pod, he's perfectly safe, amniotic sac, whatever. But now there's a physical baby just strapped to his chest. I'm going to have to look past that, because there is no chance that this is going to be worse than Death Stranding 1. It's going to either be just as good on parity, because it still has all the things that Heath wants. The resource management, build a zip line so you can more effectively move 20 crates as opposed to 10 from this city to that city. And then Kojima adds the action. In the first game, what counts as a boss? It's like a whale that's pitch black and it throws cars at you. I think that's a fight.
I think so.
In Death Stranding 2, now the whale is going to have little suction cups that you can target with your guns for combat fun, and it'll like open its mouth and suck you in, and it'll be like a cool gameplay dealy.
Is that in the trailer?
I think so.
Okay.
So the action game fans are going to love Solid Snake practically being in the game,
Right.
and Norman Reedus having new, more interesting things to shoot. But what I really care about is just supply chain optimization.
Logistics.
Because the story is going to be so stupid.
The story is a huge question mark.
Did you see the trailer ends with a muck man, a 50-foot tall tar monster, putting a Metal Gear head on his torso and winding up for a punch? take it or leave it. No, I will leave that. I don't need that.
I thought I knew what Death Stranding was until this conversation.
It's everyone's favorite dystopian horror stealth supply game.
I thought you were like walking around a lot.
Oh, you are.
What, you're fighting whales?
Only if you walk too loud and the ghosts grab you.
Uh-huh. Right. Just like usual.
Yeah, you are walking around, and I think that was the calling card of the first game. But I think the calling card of the second game is Kojima being like, hey, watch this.
Oh, boy.
And it's just like twice as many bullets, twice as many girls, just the things that he really loves, bullets and girls. So that's all I have to say about Death Stranding 2. I think it is going to absolutely bullseye the same mark of quality as the first game.
And we won't have to wait long to find out.
It's too soon. I can't react fast enough. I don't know what to do.
It's right after Deltober.
Yeah, and that's what a year Heath would have.
Yeah,
if he goes from Witness, Nier, Undertale, Deltarune, Death Stranding 2, I could hibernate in August and be fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, you're doing better than Chris's.
Your top 10 games of the year list is looking way stronger than mine.
Chris's top 10 list is going to contain Love Is All Around in that top 5.
Not if I can help it.
Not if he has anything to say about that.
It's going to be my number 1.
Well, that'll probably do it for this episode.
Perfect timing.
Listeners, if you have anything you want to tell us, we'll read your email on the show.
If Spike has thwarted you in a Mario Party game, write in so Chris doesn't feel so bad about it.
If you can tell me where Spike comes from in the Mario franchise, it felt particularly insulting having my game thrown by this D-tier Mario character, Spike. Write in at the email address mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
If you had any kind of whiplash moments like Chris and I had for Hollow Knight Silksong, just share your favorite story about your favorite thing getting waylaid and people like skipping over it. God forbid you read the Harry Potter books and your favorite character just kind of gets zapped with a wand in the background and you're like, oh, just share that at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
Please do. We love reading those emails. And we'll be back next episode. Look forward to it, everybody. Bye.
Bye.